Nigeria.
That are benefiting at the IOCs. Why? Because they have a tax regime, a royalty regime that was framed over 42 years ago. Surely explore Africa.
Encounter Africa.
Engage Africa.
Enjoy Africa's compelling,
Exciting,
and breathtaking
experience
with Kaakaki,
the African voice. Now listen. The law is now beyond argument that the effect of the nullification of a penny, not necessarily an election, the effect of nullification of a penny is to completely wipe out, obliterate, remove, undo, erase, or render it ineffective. Why must Nigerians pay the crime that has been perpetrated by the Jabbar? The Video Latino Show, BOS International. I think the communication tonight should be a period for celebration of the incoming, the end of the new year, the beginning of the new year, the period also for sober reflection. We have signed into law several legislations whose implementation will help us provide the service delivery that you expect of us and raise the standard of life. The Video Latino Show, BOS International. I'll give you all the finest things in life. It's shocking, and I think by now people should be resigning their appointment.
It was to be a business that has become another arm of government, and is also suffering from the malaise that have bedeviled government in Nigeria.
Independent television.
Independent Television.
AIT, sharing the African experience.
Hello, good morning and welcome to Kaakaki on Africa Independent Television, AIT. I am Adora Oyecher.
And I am Senami Uhemuhai. Welcome to the School and Wet Wednesday morning in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. It is the midweek edition of the African Voice. Again,
well,
welcome.
Fantastic. I'm sure you're really happy. So now you
Who
are
doesn't like a cool weather? Oh, last night was so cool. The weather was fantastic.
And you slept your way through it.
Yes, I did.
But there should not be much shared this School Wednesday morning for a number of African countries, considering the level of violence that they are experiencing.
Yeah, I agree. You know, Adora, you remember that in one of the editions of this show last week, we raised the matter of the cost of armed conflict,
in
Africa. Yes, of course, you remember that we talked about all the, I think about how many billions of dollars spent on arms in Africa, over the years, and how the same African countries are so far behind in terms of development, and yet there's enough money
pumping into that
arms,
part of government. Well, that's right, but it is obvious that the problem will remain for some time to come. So now check, for instance, the statement by the Ugandan authorities that the country called the Lord's Resistance Army is in fact being armed by the Sudanese authorities.
Wow, no, that's really, that's annoying. Anyway, in Mali here, the Tuareg and Islamist rebels in the north of the country are threatening to overrun the whole country. But the very obvious side of their rebellion is that they are raping women and young girls and abducting people for ransom.
Well, I mean, isn't it stupid and who will pay the money? There's no money in that economy. Nobody.
Exactly.
And I wonder why they would even go to the extent of raping young girls. I mean, it was more like a call for attention. And now, why do women and children always have to suffer? It is really, 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 really disgraceful. But why do these rebels and militants also make rape fashionable in their rebellion? Not just in Mali, even in Liberia, in Sierra Leone. I mean, what has raping women and young girls got to do with whatever grievances they have against the government?
That's a question only them can answer, because really I don't understand. And sitting here thinking about it, you want the attention of government, or let's assume you even want to take over government, you want to topple government and run the country. How does raping girls and women, how does that help your cause? How does that do anything for anyone? And it obviously shows that you have, you do not have what it takes to run a government, and so everything must be put in place to stop, all this kind of rebellions. Anyway, Adora, I am convinced that these raping rebels have no real cause. In fact, all they are looking for is getting their hands on the country's treasury. If not, why must they pounce on women and young girls as if animal pleasure is all that they want? If that's all they want, then they should probably go into the forest and look for animals to pound on.
Definitely, or chickens. A tsunami, no rebellion or insurgency is justifiable, whether their sponsors or, foot soldiers are rapists or not. I just don't, understand why people cannot articulate their positions, raise protests and push for change by overwhelming those in government with superior arguments and mobilization. It beats me.
Yeah, well, it beats me too. Apparently, we're not dealing with sane people.
Or civil people.
Or civil people,
honestly,
if I can put it like that, because if they were, they'll know this is not the way to go.
Definitely.
They'll know. Anyway, look at what is even happening in Nigeria. Boko Haram is causing death and pains all over the place, and
that's a very, I call it a matter with a clutch and a brake, because when you talk about the Boko Haram insurgency, people are beginning to wonder what exactly is the reason for the attacks. Is it an Islamic war, or is it a social war, or is it a selfish indulgent war? The questions are well, they follow rhetorics, but I guess it's left for them to answer. But at first, Boko Haram complained of not being allowed to worship Allah their own way. Then they called for Islamization of the northern states. Then they began killing the very people they want to Islamize. And now they bomb everywhere. Schools, churches, media houses,
markets. The list is endless. If you ask me what Boko Haram wants, honestly, I cannot give you the answer. That's the truth, because everyone now is confused as to what exactly their agitations are about, what exactly they want the government to do for them. No one seems to know. The only thing that happens now is after a bomb attack or after a suicide bomb attack, you just hear that we did this because of so person, because the media, they're putting up wrong reports about us. And, okay, before then, when you started, what was the reason?
Definitely.
What is the cause? What are you fighting for? What do you want? Sometimes I wonder if, even if they can articulate what they want, do they themselves know what they want and how to go about it?
Well, that's why people say it is a political pressure groups, and Americans now say it is caused by extreme poverty. The National Security Advisor, Awoye Aziza, says it is the outcome of power struggle. Please, can these Boko Haramists put a face and a cause to this their agitation? We ask for a national call. That way Nigeria can engage the group. But what Boko Haram should realize is that Nigeria cannot break up, no matter how many bombs is detonated and how many people are killed. Nigeria will stay. Nigeria is one country, and regardless of anybody's grievances, I think Nigeria will remain Nigeria. Perhaps a little, sheltered by what's happening, but I know that, the spirit of Nigerians are bigger and cannot be broken. I mean, people will die in the cause. Okay, fine, if that's what you want, but every Nigerian, I mean, what is the point of not having anybody to govern or Islamize or make your... I think some people say, okay, you've made enough, you have sought for enough attention. Let's see your face, let's talk, let's analyze this. At least every group has a price. Yes, every group has a price, so you can talk about it. But so now, how do these people feel when they see the mangled bodies of innocent people? Some people ask. They kill every day. If this is power struggle, how do those sponsoring the bombings feel when they see the pain, anguish, and death they cause the very people that they want to govern?
Adora, I can't help but think that they don't care. Really. Think about it. Do they really care? Whether the foot soldiers or those who are sponsoring them, do they care? Because if they do, they'll have a rethink. They will have a rethink. They'll think of what else. Okay, let's take our agitation to the next level. Let's talk about it. Let's see if they can hear us.
You know what some people's argument are?
But they don't care.
So now, some people's argument is that if those at the top helm of power are not affected, then nobody's bombing them, nobody's killing their relatives. They're all sheltered in their own cocoon. And it's the grassroots who are suffering and being bombed.
I was talking to...
It's a shame.
I was talking to a major from the U.S. military just yesterday. He's in Nigeria. He's a Nigerian in diaspora. Come home to see how he can help. And, he went on about how honestly, Nigeria is not ready
at all.
Because after all these meetings, he's been here for more than 2 weeks. He's met the big boys in the security industry, and he's like, honestly, the Nigerian government is not ready to make the change. Until they are, this will continue to happen. And until probably they begin to get bombed themselves, then they may begin to do something about it. Because he was expressing pain, that these people are not ready.
Even NASA has
what is happening.
Even NASA has offered to help, to an extent, and it's almost like, okay, wait, we can sort it out. I mean, like we said to Mr. We said to Mr. President, talk is cheap. It's high time you start working the work. I mean, you said by June, and they reiterated by saying, listen, we're still very much around. Hello, what you gonna do about it?
And in the last week, there's been a bomb blast. after the other, every other day. And you know, I saw some footage of Bayero University killings on last Sunday at the Jalingo bombings, and I told myself, this is definitely not a Nigerian culture. It is not a Nigerian culture. We're not killers. We're not murderers. We don't do this to one another. Nigeria, the Nigeria that I know, that I grew up in, is the one that protects the other person. We are our brother's keeper.
Definitely. We're one family.
So
we're one family.
I don't know how we got here.
You know, and I think another thing that buttresses the point of the non-Nigerianness of this whole thing is the attack on students. You know, students are dying, mothers, children. You could see the bodies of blazed boys in part of the people that have died, and it's really, really non-Nigerian. But perhaps it is Nigerian, perhaps not Nigerian. Whatever it is not good. It is inhuman, it lacks conscience, and of course I know that if it's truly for Islam, I don't think it promotes love and unity. Well, Nigerians do not take delight in killing themselves, and that is why the Americans want the Nigerian government to try to look both within and outside, because Boko Haram may, after all, be a struggle by Al-Qaeda to gain a foothold in Nigeria.
God forbid. God forbid. I hope that never happens. A foothold Al-Qaeda in Nigeria. God forbid.
Well, they say heaven helps those who help themselves for now. You can forbid it all you want, but until we start working it out. And it's not going to work when the people at the top are just traveling around the world, holding summits, going to conferences, sending condolence messages. Our heart goes out to you. That is absolutely nonsense. And I say it again, that if Mr. President is not careful, the Nigerian people will begin to revolt, because it's getting to a point where even a little boy sees a bag on the street and says, don't touch it, there's bomb in it. You know, and that is the extent of paranoia.
That's not funny.
Well, indeed, the country must work hard, very hard, to make sure that Boko Haram really becomes a thing of the past, or we come together to actually analyze this. And I mean, let's face issues we have control over right now.
All right, what are the issues, you know? Breakfast or a cup of coffee to warm you up? Are those your issues this morning? Well, if that is, get yourself a cup of coffee, get ready, and let's find out what the major topic of Kaakaki.
I know you want to have breakfast every morning, but just leave me out of it. Well, I would not mind a cup of coffee, though, but the issue now is the report of the House of Representatives, an ad hoc committee that probed the Philsops of the regime.
Okay. Now, what about the report? We've talked about this report over and over and over again. What's new?
It's not... See, this is one cliche that we have got to let give, okay? I was going through the report and I came across the comment made by the committee on the two audit firms indicted by the probe. Of course, I cannot even imagine it, but let me tell you one thing. Let me make a quote they made. During interaction with the committee, it became obvious that the firms had neither adequate knowledge, of course, of the procedures of measuring products in the vessel before and after discharge, nor did they demonstrate professional care expected of their standing in auditing. End of quote.
And I laughed. Really, because this whole matter has become really funny. You hear things every day, you're like, all right, it's become a joke. That's the truth. Adora, if these firms are as empty as the report found out, then who appointed them? These are the questions. That's why I said this is now a joke. How can you appoint someone who doesn't know anything about your work or how you do your work or what needs to be done, and then you've paid him billions or millions of naira to do the same job that he hasn't been able to do?
We talked about this yesterday. We said it's a total circle when you employ somebody because you know somebody and they're from somewhere but have no experience, no educational background. They go there, mess it up, and then everything just becomes a cycle of corruption. Well, there are many more questions to ask, but that will be in our interview segment. So we will also bring you all the juicy segment that will make you your delightful Kaakaki cup of coffee. Is there anything like that? Well, first, we have cover story, special feature, People's Parliament, health tips with the Dama, and of course, Sports Extra. But for a start, let's bring you speed on the stories making the headlines. Senna, over to you. Over to you.
Yeah. for staying with us. 23 people were killed in renewed violence in Syria on Tuesday. According to the Syrian Observer, 9 members of the family of one family, including 4 women and 2 children, were among 11 people killed in a mortar attack on a village in Idlib province. Activists also report 12 soldiers were killed near their base in the eastern province of Deir al-Zor as an advance party of 16 UN monitors began work in the country. A ceasefire agreement, which came into force on 12th of April, has helped reduce violence, but fighting is continuing across the country. France's National Front leader Marine Le Pen has vowed to abstain in Sunday's presidential election runoff vote. Le Pen told a mass rally in Paris that she could back neither President Nicolas Sarkozy nor the socialist candidate François Hollande, and told supporters to follow their conscience. Le Pen won 6.5 million votes, which is 7.9% in the first round of the election, and the latest opinion polls suggest Hollande has a 6 to 10 point lead over President Sarkozy. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has met opposition leader Aung San Suu Kyi for the first time in the latest stage of his landmark visit to Burma. The meeting came a day after Suu Kyi, who was elected to parliament a month ago, agreed to take the parliamentary oath despite its wording. Ban is on a 3-day visit to Burma to encourage more democratic reforms. On Monday, he became the first visiting foreigner to address Parliament. Suu Kyi and the 42 other members of the National League for Democracy, NLD, elected in April 1st by elections, are expected to be sworn in on Wednesday. The Nigerian government has been asked to design and implement policies which are geared towards job creation, food security and poverty eradication. President of Nigeria Labour Congress Abdullahi Omar gave the advice at this year's May Day celebration in Abuja, saying it is the solution to insecurity in the country. From the stable of Dark Communications PLC, transmission of radio signal has commenced ahead of the formal commissioning of RayPower and its sister station AIT Benin on Saturday. The radio station, which came live early hours of Tuesday, 1st May 2012 at 12 midnight, is the first among the series of stations to be powered by Dark Communications PLC across the country. At the ceremony attended by the chairman of Dark Communications PLC, Ale Rodokbesi, the managing director, RayPower, Pauline Obudaga, Kenny Ogungbe of Kenny's Music, and the managing director, Da Sat, Don Pedro Basaki, among other management staff. The station RayPower Benin, which has for almost 2 years relayed transmission of signal from RayPower Network, will henceforth broadcast programs from Benin 105.5 FM and is expected to transmit a 24 hours signal. RayPower FM and AIT Benin will formally commission on Saturday, 5th May 2012 at its Ikweniro Broadcast Complex in Benin. All right, those were the news headlines. Kaakaki continues in a moment. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Explore Africa.
Encounter Africa.
Engage Africa.
Enjoy Africa's compelling,
Exciting
and breathtaking
experience
with Kaakaki,
the African voice.
All right, thanks for staying with us. You're still watching Kaakaki, the African voice. This is a midweek edition of the program. Time now for our cover story for the day, and we shall go over to Adora to bring us all the details, and our princess is ready to cut.
Oh God, princess. All right, now I have to take a cut. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Cover Story. Please, nothing to cost you about this morning. Well, I'm sure you have been following the full stop to the controversy for a while now, and you're probably not a stranger to the worrisome revelations made by the Farouk Lawan-led committee. Now, our cover story now brings you how experts perceive this report and the call by civil society groups and Nigerians not to abandon the revelations and recommendations of those reports. Now, a nagging issue is also that of the auditors indicted in this report. Well, our correspondent Omo Bazwaye is our guide. Let's take a tour with him.
The report by Farouk Lawal-led committee is the outcome of 2 months of intensive probe of the management of Nigeria's oil subsidy fund since 2009. The content of the document is troubling. Very disturbing is the case of unidentified companies cutting away huge subsidy payments. Equally perplexing and very difficult to pardon is the inconsistency in official documents accounting for daily fuel consumption.
The claim that Nigerians were consuming 57 million liters of fuel per day is false. And who gave that figure? The Minister of Petroleum.
The report indicts many, exposing a monumental fraud in subsidy payment to the tune of over 1 trillion naira.
Who is the person that authorized that payment? Because the person that authorized the payment of 1.6 trillion naira fraudulently must be held to account.
Nigeria's oil managers, NNPC, PPRA, their supervisory ministries, Petroleum and Finance, Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, and some private companies all have their hands stained in the deal.
The level of disdain for the laws of the country, for the constitution, could not have happened, could not have been undertaken by the NNPC, by the PPRA, without the supervising ministry and the supervising minister of that ministry taking responsibility for this level of decay.
Reactions from a few indicted parties have been swift. Outright denial of wrongdoing.
What the House has come up with is a document which is shallow and wishy-washy by all standards. We have a situation where integrated oil and gas has been alleged to owe 13 billion naira to the government. This figure has been arbitrarily inserted without basis, without any foundation, without any reference to any impropriety.
I have been an accountant general since 1999. I have done my best to ensure that I have demonstrated accountability, transparency in the way I operate.
So when we look at this report, you can see that it is actually not what people expect. A lot of people expected that something much more serious than this would have come out, but we must say that we are challenging the credibility of this report.
At other times, they question the competence and integrity of the House Committee.
That there are criminals in this process, but we are saying that we are not one of them. And we are saying that even in this process that they have left out the criminals, because a lot of them were reaching out to the criminals, asking them to come and sort out. And when they reach a company that feels that it didn't do anything and such a company refuses to sort out, they now start coming out with this kind of spurious figures.
Labour and the civil society feels vindicated. In January, the Nigerian workers marched against the removal of fuel subsidy, a move government hope could curb the activities of cabals in the oil industry.
That is what Nigerians know. So it's a vindication of the position of Nigerians, and a vindication of our own position also. Well, we knew. Except that I must confess that we did not know it was so bad.
The price of petrol is pegged at 97 naira per litre, and with the perpetrators of the oil scam still roaming the streets as free men, Nigeria's oil sector remains troubled as ever.
NNPC, according to the House, claims that they made payments to somebody 999 million naira
128 times, and they do not know the identity of who they paid 999 million naira to 128 times. The group the managing director of NNPC by now should be in EFCC somewhere in that their interrogation room.
The crisis in the oil sector might linger as long as the country depends on fuel importation. What is required is a political will to act differently, which is a key recommendation of the committee's report.
Well, I think that, like you say, you've heard this over and over again. It's almost becoming like cliche.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is that every day new things come up about the full subsidy probe. In fact, you begin to wonder why now and why at this point when Nigeria is battling with so much. Like somebody said, one of the newspaper analysts said yesterday, it could be a method of distraction. But I just beg to differ.
No, it's not. Well, one of our guests also said, I think on Monday when we were talking about the same issue, he came in and said, well, why not now? It's bad enough that it has gone on for long enough.
Definitely.
Well, for me, the timing really doesn't matter. The timing doesn't matter. What matters are the issues that have been brought to the front burner, are the issues that has been raised. Imagine one of our respondents saying that a particular company was paid 999 million, 128 times, and the ministry cannot identify who was paid that money. Can you beat that? 128 times you paid someone and you don't know who it is. Now it's not just about, the issues now are out there. There's massive corruption, in the oil and gas sector. What is the government going to do about it? Everyone says that they expected that by now, they will be hearing that so-so person has been taken to court, so-so person is in jail, so-so person has been found guilty, so-so person has been made to return so-so amount of money because of the, the importance of this probe. But yes, government still seems to be dragging its foot on this matter.
I think that what is even more worrisome is that you're talking about the government has done nothing about it. The whole saga is a government problem, because I know that a government, if they were careful and had the responsibility of regulation, especially with the bodies. Look at the auditors, look at what they are chanting. I mean, it shows you the level of unaccountability that stems from the top. And even the NIPEM president, Igwe Acheze, even said, what were they doing? Couldn't they have gone to actually find out these companies, these box marketers, these non-existent oil marketers that, that were found in the course of the probe? I mean, it's one thing for somebody to say, oh, I'm involved in the oil subsidy, but you don't know that they're non-existent, and then they're sending you facts and figures that they cannot testify to. So it's really sick. It just shows you that the whole stem from the top needs to be pruned and plucked out.
Yes, indeed. Now the Nigerian people look like they're not going to sit back and just let this be swept under the carpet. Just yesterday, Nobel laureate Wale Soyinka and Pastor Tunde Bakare came out and said Nigerians should prepare for mass protest, against the scam in the oil and gas sector.
But they already said they're looking for trouble. Like, a lot has been said about that, at the station by Wale Soyinka, saying it's calling for revolution when the panel is not even, finished with the probe. That they should give them time to actually come to the end of the probe before they start ranting, and that's what they called it. And it's a total distraction to actually bring anarchy to the Nigerian government system. But like you say, everybody has a voice.
Every day we'll talk about now how over and over again the government has failed the Nigerian people, and over again the government saying one thing, they do another. They're like a toothless bulldog. They bark but they cannot bite. It's not the first time that we're seeing situations like what has happened to all the other probes.
I do know
how they all end up, and we all say that the Nigerian people who this money actually belongs to have a say in this whole saga. And if the government does not do anything, I think, well, if the Nigerian people say, we're going to protest against this, then it's their right.
But now you know, 2 or 3 days back, we had Honorable Wak come here representing House of Rep, who was part of the committee, doing the probe, and he said this one will not be washed away with the wave waters, and we are not going to sit down and fold our hands. So, exactly what we said. So let's give them benefit of doubt and just see what happens in the course of the week, because I do know one thing, that the Nigerian people are stationed by the side, ready, waiting, and watching. And there was also a rumor that the fuel price was going to increase to 141 or thereabout. But I think this is a whole lot of jabberish, if you ask me, because I know that at the end of the day, it is a grassroots man that will suffer it, never the people, never the elite.
And that is why, that is why probably Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka is calling for the people, maybe for once, the people can get the government to act.
Definitely.
Maybe, just maybe, but like you said, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's wait a while. Let's watch. Let's see what happens to Akintola Williams and Adekola, companies, the auditing firms that have been indicted. Let's see what the federal government is going to do about it. Let's see what they're going to do about them. Then, if of course nothing is done well, apparently Wole Soyinka is telling the people, you can't sit by and watch your country ravished.
It's interesting the power people have, the power of the country, because it takes my mind back to, breaking news this morning, in France, in Paris, Sarkozy and his opponent, and, the middle lady who is assumed the godfather of France, Marie, and she said, they asked her, who are you casting your vote for? She said she's casting a blank vote, and almost every supporter in her party says they're casting a blank vote. And imagine if those number of people casting a blank vote, Sarkozy has nil to zero chances to actually be the president of France again, and even the opposite, because she's not casting a vote for anybody. So it brings my mind to the power of the people. Do not take the power of your people
for granted. That same power got you there in the first place. Now that same power can get you out. Now, if you think you cannot be impeached in the next 4 years, you have to do your term, all well and good, but don't bother to seek a second term. That's the truth, because the people have the power.
Maybe
the people have the power.
Like God says, you raise the stones from the ground and maybe answer.
The people have the power. They can decide what they want to do with their power. Now, it's another thing if you go rigging and stealing votes and all of that. That's another story entirely. But if you think, for whatever reason, that you are going to force yourself on the people in a democratic setting, now that is not going to happen. That is not going to happen.
All right, take us to Kenya. What's happening?
Oh, yeah, so much is happening in Kenya. Well, in Kenya, there's a talent hunt, and the poor have refused to stay down. This is thanks to a program that taps talent of the less privileged in the society. Amidst the poverty and despair that is companion to most people in Kenya, the Masare Young Talent Organization, also known as Maito, is helping the communities to learn dancing, singing, and drumming skills, and talents have been discovered through this. Let's take a look. You may wonder how that helps to ease poverty and all of that, but trust me, it may not make you richer, but it does give you a peace and a comfort of the mind. Let's join them and see how they're dancing and clapping out of poverty.
Hiyo ni kifunga tatu na kona zote. Hiyo si tatu. Maybe asubuhi tutajinyima, lunch tujinyime, tukule usiku. Sasa hiyo usiku ndio maybe nenda nibayunga kilo moja. Maybe ka 50 bob katabaki tu juu. 250 taisha tu yote.
Hawa wanafanya nini hapo? Wewe, unafanya nini hapo?
Before post-election, tulikuwa tunaishi poa. Mimi ama ndugu zangu na maparenti zangu tulikuwa tu tunaishi tu poa, hata tulikuwa na raha sana. Yani tulikuwa tunaishi huko down, huko side za ghetto huko. Sasa tangu hiyo vitu itokezee, hiyo siku alitangazanga tu Kibaki. Tulikuwa nafanyanga huko side za Redi Karura. Tulikuwa tunafanyanga potting, tunamwaga mchanga kwa makaratasi. Sasa ilikuwa ukijaza maybe crate moja ni 19 bob.
Mimi nimeona wamesaidia vijana sana, na vijana walisoma na wengi wao wamekosa kazi, na sasa
interesting, you know, it brings my mind, you know, they say if wishes were horses, beggars would ride. I'll say music where horses, beggars would ride.
Everyone would ride. Fortunately, we couldn't get the best part of that report, but we'll definitely bring it back to you some other time. But I've seen that report.
Yeah,
before,
I have too.
You know,
yeah.
And you know, these people, in spite of the difficult situation that they're faced with every day, struggling to feed, struggling to live. One of them, you know, is a single mother, also has her younger ones living with her, and she has to, you know,
cater for them and take care of them.
She sells bean cake, I think, every morning. Use the same money. At the end of the day, all she has to her is about $1, and you know, she still manages. She finds joy dancing.
You know, the interesting thing is, you know, I saw that young child. I was telling you, I don't know if she's more than, I don't even know if it's the sex, because, you know, she had a local more than 3 years of age, and she just was splashing water on her face with sheer abandon. You know, like, this is what I do every day. It's my life. And almost like, I say, take that camera off my face. You know, I could just feel that.
It just reminds me of, you know, what the good book says about if men can be like children, then they'll find the kingdom of God.
Definitely.
It's because of that innocence, that purity of heart, that simplicity.
But it does not take away the fact that some countries are struggling. And I think most of the things that have gotten these countries from pain and stagnation is the sheer abandon to actually enjoy music and comedy. Look at the Clowns Beyond Borders that we had the other day. You know, that it just shows that the human spirit, mindless, can be mended, can be broken. And honestly, it just makes me want to just shout out and start singing this morning, despite what is happening in Nigeria. But like they say,
you know, like we always say, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Every difficult situation, truth is, every problem has a solution.
Definitely.
The issue is to find solution providers, stand up and provide solution to this problem, because there definitely is a solution. Someone needs to add value to the security system. Someone needs to add passion and patriotism to everything that they do and find the right kind of solution. Remember remember after 9/11 in the United States?
Yes.
There was a problem, and solution providers arose.
Definitely.
Now, the security industry is one of the biggest in America, because everyone saw that there is need to create a situation where the country can be better secured. And, you know, people got up, manufacturers, to find ways of securing America better.
So now what I want to actually add to that is that, you know, I know for one thing the Nigerians are not resilient people. They don't resign. And I know one thing they will get from this experience is faith, to be proactive and to be forewarned, because to be forewarned is to be forearmed. And actually also I will use the example of Anson Key, who was house arrested for 20 years, who just got voted into parliament as one of the ministers, and it just shows faith in people, and it was people that actually helped make her call. She was a Nobel laureate, I think 2010 or 2011. She was not even allowed. She wasn't able to go and get her award. She was not able to leave Myanmar to go and get her award because of what? She was afraid that the military rulers at that time would not even allow her to come back into the country. But it reminds me of Nelson Mandela and so many other people. I think that steadfastness and faith, and of course unity, and like she said, patriotism, I think will get us all the way out of this mess.
When we talk about people like Anson Key, and we talk about people like Mandela, and we talk about all these great human beings,
heroes and
all these great heroes, you find a situation where these people at every point in their lives have put their lives
on the line
and
Definitely.
say, I will die for my country. I will die for this cause that I believe in. I am ready to give my life.
Are you trying to refer to Nigeria or compare to
Hold on, Adora. I am ready to give. Let's even not go too far. We know, the American army, no matter where they come from, whether they're Nigerian-born, Ghanaian-born, as long as they are in America and in the American army, they will give their life to die for America. Now we have a situation where our leaders cannot even say, it doesn't matter what it takes. If I have to die doing this, then I'll die doing this.
They send condolences from abroad in summits and conferences. And
I am wondering if these people, are worth calling leaders. Anyway,
it's not time to preach. I think that enough wealth has been spoken now. Talk about health, and we're going over to Adama to actually tell us what's happening in the health fact. Good morning, Adama.
Thank you very much, Adora and Tsunami. I just love to see you two ladies. You are really the dynamic duo. And Tsunami, you look especially pretty today in that dress. Well, good morning out there. I hope you had a good night rest, and I hope you're ready for Adama and Adama dose this morning on Kaakaki Health Tips. Well, I'm going to talk to you about something that is important and something you should take note of. And the reason why I was inspired to talk about this is that I saw a scene that played out that really caused me concern, and I tried to understand where this was coming from and what was going on. I saw a woman, not so old, a young woman, with an old man, and they were coming down the stairs of a hospital, and suddenly the old man took a tumbled and literally tumbled all the way to the bottom of the stairs. And of course I was totally aghast and befuddled and flabbergasted. So I tried to understand what was going on, and I think what must have been going on is something called caregiver burnout. So I'm going to talk about caregiver burnout, because most of the time we're so focused on the people who are ill, and we forget to think about the people who are looking after the people who are ill. Now, caregiver burnout is a state of physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion that may be accompanied by a change in attitude from positive and caring to negative and unconcerned. And this is a very serious thing. So let's look at the symptoms of caregiver burnout. What are the things that make you seem as if you're having caregiver burnout? First of all, when you're a caregiver, it's when you're taking care of another person, maybe someone who is ill, maybe even a child, or maybe just taking care of another person. And some of the symptoms would be withdrawal from friends, family, and other loved ones. You could have you could also have other things that could make you to not. Sorry. Oh yeah. Sorry.
Oh, there, we apologize for that slight technical hitch. Oh, Adama, I'm sure she would need a prescription to get over that. We apologize. But I'm sure that, I understand what she's trying to say about the caregivers. And I know for one thing, I wanted to actually talk to her about stress. The other day you talked about stress, and you said there was something that you noticed, that when you're stressed, no matter how much makeup you put on, no matter how much time whatever, it just shows. And that, I mean, how does the body do that? No?
You know what, Adora, the truth is the human body functions from the inside. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Your inside tells your outside what to do, how to look. It depends on how your inside feel. Like, okay, one of the producers yesterday morning, I just noticed that, you know, apart from not wearing makeup, there was this thing, she just didn't look so good. She just looked like, you could tell that what was on her face was from the inside. She was obviously very sad about something. Are you all right? You don't look too good. And she's like, oh, it's just because I'm not wearing makeup. I said, this is not about makeup. Something is bothering you. At the end of the day, she did tell me that, something was indeed bothering her. And by the end of the day, she was looking better because she'd been able to get over it. It was an emotional thing. So if when you're happy, there's a radiance and a beauty that comes out through your skin.
But I also recommend that if you, I think that regardless of whatever we do, you know, the work schedule could be tight, the day could be dull, people could upset you, and it just takes you to make you happy. Find a place, find something, find an activity. Poetry, dance, music, jazz, loved ones.
Sleep, if that's what makes you happy. Watch a movie, if that's
somebody said holding hands makes her happy. You know, she just...
Let me see how that works.
I am not the person, though. Don't even use me.
All right. Anyway, we'll have to... You can do that experiment at home. Find out how that works. Holding hands.
Whistling actually makes you release tension and stress. Trust me, when you're pent up and you start to whistle, it does a lot of good.
Well, I know that when I'm tense, and I just smile to myself, say, all right, take a deep breath. It's
right, please, don't mind that. She hits the Kaakaki and loads up, all right?
All right, okay. All right, let's go to the street. It's time now for People's Parliament.
Of course, this is Kaakaki, the African Voice. If you're just joining us, you will recall that last month the federal government terminated the services of 2 accounting firms for negligence during the certification of the documents and claims of marketers before payment. The companies are Kintola Williams and, of course, the company Adekanola Company.
The move became imperative following concerns raised about the management of the subsidy, although there were reports that the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria is setting a panel to investigate the 2 indicted companies.
So now we go to the street of Abuja to hear what our parliamentarians have to say on the issue. Let's go.
For Parliament, I am Oluchi Achibo. 2 of Nigeria's prestigious accounting firms, Akintola Williams Delius and Company and Adekola and Company, were sacked last week over alleged incompetence or negligence resulting in massive corrupt practices. The 2 accounting firms are certified by recognized professional accounting institutions like the ICANN. What type of penalty should they face? And what further steps should their professional regulators take to ensure that the professional standards and rules are maintained? Let's now hear the views of our parliamentarians.
They are an auditing firm, and so they are supposed to represent the interests of the people that hired them to do it. The punishment is to be prosecuted alongside those people that they have indicted in the subsidy probe. Because if they did not connive with those perpetrators, for example, we wouldn't have found ourselves in this kind of mess. You see, they were aided to have committed the crime for which they committed. You know, people got contracts to import, fuel that did not deliver. And so they were audited by a firm. And so they used to be prosecuted alongside those same people.
The National Assembly to make laws to see that people does not steal money or be corrupt. Because I believe in the Western world, they have those kind of law. That's why you can see that you cannot just cut away money like that and disappear. So if the National Assembly can make laws to see that anybody who is corrupt or steals is being punished greatly, and this time around also our judiciary is going to be also firm, because these days our judiciary, today they tell you white, tomorrow they tell you black, next month they tell you yellow. We're also fed up of the judiciary. Some people steal money and they want to use court injunction to round themselves so that they cannot, EFCC or any other agent cannot bring them to book. We have seen people who stole money in this country, and at the end of the day, nothing came out. That's why we are still saying that they should make laws that you know that there is a law that if you steal or you are corrupt, you know you are going to face the rod. So based on that, people will desist from being corrupt.
Well, quite sure if you are right. in the spirit of zero tolerance to corruption by Dr. Goodluck Jonathan. So what they do, they are right. Federal government are not going to accept any corrupt leader. You understand? So Goodluck is good, and what they did is right. And whatever may be the finding, they shouldn't go contrary to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Once they are indicted, means something is wrong somewhere. So once something is wrong somewhere, whatever may be the penalty, they know. If it's something missing, they should bring it back. And whatever happened, I know the federal government are doing well to see that things are well done.
The federal government is right. In fact, it's unfortunate that a reputable accounting firms like Akintola and Adekola are found wanting, you know, in this circumstance. The federal government are taking the right step by ensuring that they are properly investigated and appropriate punishment meted out to them. ICANN should be able to avail itself of its reputation, its integrity, by ensuring that the standard of regulation should be strictly adhered to. If ICANN, you know, find them wanting, they should be shown the way out.
Well, sacking them is the right direction. Like, should I put that? It's the right direction. That shows the federal government really knows, they know what they're doing, and they want everything to go in accordance to their statutory laws. That's his law. Yes, Akitola, Deliot, and this other firm, of course, they are member of the body of ACA, and I believe ACA they will have their guidelines. They should have their guidelines, and whoever they have deviated from these guidelines should, of course, they should deserve the punishment. The punishment in the sense that whichever sanction be placed on them.
The sacking of the two members is a move on the right direction, and it must not end there. They should go further and also uphold their yardstick, the standard with which I can operate on. Because as a body, there must be a yardstick which they operate on. So what I'm emphasizing in NSC is that as government, as federal government has sacked the two members who has defaulted, they should not stop there. They should go further to preempt other people who are intending thieves in auditing in the firm. That's why I'm saying that it boils down on the standard with which they operate. There must be some rules guiding that auditing firm or the ICANN as a organization or whatever. So they must uphold whatever rules that are guiding them and make sure those people are given a required and necessary punishment.
By sacking the accountant is not the solution. Because this is one of the greatest mistakes the federal government of this country have been doing. And that encourage the corruption. Now, sacking them ordinarily without discipline or recovering those money from them, then to put another person in that place. If the person coming there is a fool, it's a Nigerian. If action is not taken for that person, if the person coming will do worse. And this is what encourages corruption in this country. When somebody goes to cut money, they sack him without recovering those money. No discipline, no jail, nothing. If you take it to cut down, the lawyers, they will contribute how much is it there after how much they say, and they allow him go. The person coming there will do worse than that. And I take it from me. I've been finding this opportunity to let people know that except the lawyers of this country don't give regard to anybody. Once you are guilty, whether you be anything, you have nobody's above the law. Government should find one way or the other to whatever that they are going to sell their property to return those money before they sentence them to jail. That's the punishment, so that whoever will step in there will know that, yes, if he fumbled, he will not go free.
That's it today on People's Parliament, and I'll take you back to the studio for more on Kaakaki. I am Oluchi Achibu.
Okay. Well, I quite and I agreeably concur with the last speaker saying that anybody found guilty should be indicted and brought to book. No more dilly-dallying.
Yeah, that was what I was saying earlier. You know, and until people continue to insist and make sure their voices are out there and make sure that the government prosecute these people and brings them to book, it's not enough to just sack Akintola Williams and Adekunle and say that, okay, they've been blacklisted by the Ministry of Finance. That is not just enough. More would have to be done. They have to be taught a lesson.
I think
they
the
have
Ministry
to
of Finance
money if they have to. So it's not enough to just sack them. Yeah, I quite agree with some.
And I think also the Ministry of Finance too has also to be probed. If you ask me why, because they are in charge. They should have access to these bodies and the regulation processes. And, well, enough said. I think that we'll probably get more insightful contributions during our interview segment. Right now, top of the hour, we go for Inside Nigeria. Please just stay with us.
Thanks for staying with us. The Nigerian government has been asked to design and implement policies which are geared towards job creation, food security and poverty eradication. President of Nigeria Labour Congress Abdullahi Omar gave the advice at this year's May Day celebration in Abuja, saying it is the solution to insecurity in the country.
We call on government at all levels to constructively engage with citizens to urgently design and implement policies and strategies on job creation, food security, mass and qualitative education, and overall poverty eradication.
Nigerian workers urge the federal government to understand that the world of work is central to humanity. It is therefore the key to economic development, to national security. It is what grants access to food, education, quality of life for the citizenry, eliminating poverty, hunger, and disease in its worst form.
The past sector can only be reformed if people of honor with clear records are at the helms of affairs. This assertion was made by the Power Holding Company of Nigeria's workers under the National Union of Electricity Employees Tuesday in Abuja as they marked Workers' Day.
We promised heaven and earth in order to secure the job. Today, after securing the job, we have run the system down from 3,600 megawatts. We must remain focused. An injury to one is an injury to all.
Let me assure the casuals that are yet to collect their letters that there is no cause for alarm, as no stone will be left unturned to ensure that you all receive your letter of appointment.
From the stable of Dar Communications PLC, transmission of radio signal has commenced ahead of the formal commissioning of Waypower and its sister station AIT Benin on Saturday. The radio station, which came alive early hours of Tuesday, 1st May 2012 at 12 midnight, is the first among the series of stations to be powered by Dar Communications PLC across the country. At the ceremony, attended by the chairman Dar Communications PLC, Alehu Dukbesi, the managing director Waypower Paulino Budaga, Kenyo Gungbe of Kennis Music, and the managing director Dar Sat Don Pedro Basaki, among other management staff. The station Waypower Benin, which has for almost 2 years relayed transmission of signals from Waypower Network, will henceforth broadcast programs from Benin on 105.5 FM and is expected to transmit a 24 hours signal. Waypower FM and AIT Benin will be formally commissioned on Saturday, 5th of May 2012 at the Ikuniro Broadcast Complex in Benin. What would have been a Black May Day was averted in Bauchi, northeast Nigeria, when a suspected forerunner of a suicide bomber was intercepted at the government house by security operatives. AIT staff reports that a middle-aged man who was riding a motorcycle forced himself into the government house, compound when the gates were opened for a particular car to drive in. He was immediately arrested and taken to the state police headquarters for interrogation. The police anti-bomb squad later examined the motorcycle used by the suspect, said it was not carrying any explosives. However, sources close to the investigation say the arrested suspect who made incoherent statements may have been a force runner sent to test the level of security at the government house, which only recently put in place new measures to check the movement of all staff and visitors to the seat of power in the state. The Joint Task Force in Kano State has raided the hideout of the suspected Boko Haram members who were responsible for last Sunday's attack at the Bayero University, Kano. JTF spokesman Ikedi Iweha, who told AIT that the operation, which took place at Sharada area of Kano metropolis on Tuesday morning, lasted for 3 hours, leaving one member of the sect dead and an undisclosed number of suspects arrested. Some improvised explosive devices as well as arms and ammunition were recovered from the hideout. All right, that's Inside Nigeria. Kaakaki continues in a moment. When we come back, it will be time to go into our interview segment. You don't want to miss that. Stay with us.
Serious.
I wanted to avoid it, but I thought of running away.
You thought of doing? What are you doing here? David! Do you want your game man to stop me from entering your house?
I want to let you know that I will win the competition.
When the thunder strikes, the earth shakes. Deception, disbelief, love, and dismay. Trust in man is deadly. Your close friend, your worst enemy. The Burning Spear. Burning Spear, a story of multi-identity, suspense-filled, educative, and entertaining. The Burning Spear.
Lucy, come on, let's go.
Nowhere. It's just a bunch of prejudices about the different communities, but nothing substantial about the cause of the conflict.
It is becoming expensive to have you
there. If it was you that lost your brother, would you do it?
Family ties, a thorn in the flesh.
To be seeing my daughter every day is not small money.
Your daughter, when it's concerned,
my pocket is never afraid.
Oh, well.
I will do everything.
Explore Africa.
Encounter Africa.
Engage Africa.
Enjoy Africa's compelling,
exciting,
and breathtaking
experience
with Kaakaki,
the African voice.
A very good morning to you. This is Kaakaki, the African Voice, and it's now time for us to talk about the fuel subsidy probe, which is our major concern in this morning's interview segment. Now, Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka says Nigerians must be prepared for another round of protests to force government to implement the recommendations of the House of Representatives in respect of this probe of the fuel subsidy regime.
Well, there does not seem to be any need to force the hand of the government, because President Goodluck Jonathan already says nobody who is indicted in the report will be shielded from prosecution.
But before the courts step in, there are sanctions that can be applied to offenders, especially professionals known to have acted unprofessionally.
That raises the questions on what professional regulatory bodies are doing in stemming the tide of corruption in Nigeria.
Now, if you go into many establishments in Nigeria, you will, of course, discover that they are headed by personnel who are either chartered, fellows, senior advocates, or such other respectable high professional letters and status.
For instance, in the present fuel subsidy probe, the two firms of Akintola Williams Deloitte and Olushola Adekunla and partners are not just headed by some of the most professionally decorated accountants, but they have in their ranks an array of chartered professionals.
Well, the challenge is, after these professional decorations and recognitions, how do the professional regulatory bodies ensure that those so recognized remain ethically uncompromised?
Now, that question is very relevant, because in the case of the two auditing firms, the probe panel made very strong remarks on their professional integrity. Let me quote: "The firms contributed little value to the veracity of the exercise." End of quote.
Indeed, during interaction with the committee, it became obvious that the firms had neither adequate knowledge of procedure of measuring products in a vessel before and after discharge, nor did they demonstrate professional care expected of their standing in auditing marketers, claims based on quantity, exchange rate, and crude price.
This carefree attitude could hardly be explained beyond an interest of participating in the bazaar and collecting of 275,000 naira per vessel. End of quote.
Bazaar indeed. Many questions arise beyond the professional carefree attitude of Akintola Williams Deloitte and Olushola Adekunla and co. For instance, was there anything the accountants regulatory body could have done to prevent what happened? How that Well, I don't know how that works for the firms. Have they been in the body do on a general level? How should professional regulatory bodies work to minimize these interactions and, of course, infractions and run on integrity in practice? Well, of course, these are the issues we will be discussing this morning. And joining us in the studio, we have Marcel Anyelechi, Chartered Accountant. Good morning, sir. You're welcome to Kaakaki. And we have Honorable Chris Emeka Azubogo, representing the Nnewi North, Nnewi South, and Ekwo-Sigo Federal Constituency. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to begin with you. Now, so much has been said about this probe, and even though the president has come out to say that no one who has been indicted in this probe will be shielded from prosecution, but our focus is on the two auditing firms that have been found wanting. Now, that raised a question of integrity. Also, like you heard us say in our introduction to this segment, we did say that some of them, all of them, the leaders of these two auditing firms are professionals who have been decorated by ICANN and many other, professional accounting bodies. Now, what should happen to these people apart from what the government has said they will do? What about their professional bodies? What are the kind of measures that should be put in place to curb this kind of occurrences?
First and foremost, I want to say that for the two firms that were supposed to audit or to ensure that the quantities of product that were delivered meet all expected standards, could not do that because they approached their job from paper accounting, not from technical point of view. As a company that is in charge of measures, because as an auditing firm, you must ensure that you take proper care of measures, either monetarily or volumetrically or anyhow. They refused to engage professionals who are experts in measurement to endorse the quantity. Probably they left any other person or an accountant by paper to be at the vessels, to sign paper, whatever that is given to him, not taking proper measure to take, like if you go to filling station when they want to deliver products, you see people with their dipsticks. I mean, if you want to go to, major discharge points or loading points at offshore terminals, you see there are flow meters, there are dipsticks. You check vessels by their particulars. You check at the point of entry what volume of product was there. After discharge, what is left. So from there, you do your calculations and endorse that the product that is delivered at this point is this. Not just whatever that comes to you, you'll be sorted out, you sign. So ethically, they did not do well. Okay. And professionally, they did not employ the right hands. So what we are saying is very simple. We do not know, in general terms, we do not know what PPRA told them to or did for them. So if you understand their terms of reference, then also their terms of engagement in their professional bodies, you know the right of penalty that is due to them.
Okay, let me come back to you, Marcel, a chartered accountant. Now, first, let's begin from the findings of the probe. Of course, when we started the probe and looking at the amount that was found, 2011 stood at about 2.58 trillion or thereabout. Now, this is a staggering figure and a staggering amount. Shouldn't this have been a warning sign? Shouldn't it have kicked off a staggering red alarm signal with the Ministry of Finance when they started this finding? Why did they wait till now to begin this probe for them to be able to say, okay, fine, we found out that some auditing firms are not, legit enough to be able to carry out auditing. Some people, like we referred to it in the introduction, the firms contributed little value, of course, to the vastity of the exercise. Now, the question, the question I'm pointing out to you now is, why did they not see the red alert signal before now? Why now are they crying wolf?
Yeah, thank you so much. What is coming from the probe of the National Assembly is quite disturbing. It's just unfortunate that a country like Nigeria, with vast mineral resources, and yet the poverty level is unbearable. It's very unfortunate. But it's good that the National Assembly has brought this to the public. Probably we wouldn't have known what is going on. I commend the National Assembly for this bold step. The Minister of Finance, I believe, did not act properly. The budget for subsidy for 2011 was about 245 billion from the records made available. And at the last count, 2.5 billion trillion have been spent. The question is, the excess represents about 900% increase over and above the budgeted amount. Where did this money come from? That raises a lot of questions to Minister of the Finance. Are there some sources of income that are not brought into the budget cycle? That is a big question for the Minister of Finance to answer. But aside from that, the Minister of Finance, if they have been proactive in tackling the so-called payment of subsidy, the escalating figure, they should have asked themselves what is going on. Why have we spent 900% above what was budgeted? So, to me, Federal Minister of Finance owe this nation an explanation of what actually happened.
All right. So you think both the Federal Ministry of Finance and the auditing firms are equally guilty of this?
Yes, in the case of auditing firms, The information available to me, I don't know what the terms of engagement is. I cannot say they are 100% guilty. The reason is this. They are doing consultancy service, not statutory audit. There's a difference between when a firm is engaged to do statutory audit. In that case, you are expected to issue opinion, and you will be held accountable for the type of opinion you issue. Whether it is true and fair, whether it is not true and fair, whether you qualify the opinion or whatever. In this case, they were engaged as consultants. And as a consultant, your duty is limited to the terms of the engagement. Yeah. We are not privy to the terms of the engagement. But the report I read said that they were engaged for almost 6 months. The contract was not signed. So validly, within that period, they were not actively engaged. And within the period they were engaged, the part of the assignment they handled. Let me put it this way. If you engage somebody as an accountant, as a consultant, for purpose of verifying subsidy payments, it is expected that they are supposed to do what we call preemptive evaluation. Or in other way, we can put it as a prepayment audit. And in that case, payment of subsidy will be based on whatever amount they have confirmed that this is what is company A, B, C is entitled to based on what they have supplied. But from what I heard, payments will have already been made, and they were asked to validate whatever payment they have been made, which is a post-mortem exercise. In other words, they only render advisory service.
Okay, but the auditing firms at that point could have pointed that out to them and said, no, this is not how it should be done. We won't be engaged in this this kind of situation.
Like I said, everything is dependent on their terms of engagement. Everything is dependent on the terms of engagement. Don't forget that even the exercise they carried out, from what I read, they even discovered overpayments. These overpayments, were they recovered? You only advise your principal. He is not obligated on him to accept the advice.
All right. Okay. Honorable Azubogo, I'm going to ask you this same question again. Now, let's look at it this way. The pro panel that said that the subsidy payment in 2011 stood at 2.58 trillion naira. Now, 900% above the budgeted sum of 245 billion naira. Should the staggering difference not have kicked off, like Adora said earlier, a red alarm somewhere in PPRA, in NNPC, Ministry of Finance, and the Central Bank of Finance in itself? If the auditing firms, if these figures, over 900% increase didn't kick off any alarm, why is everybody now running helter-skelter now, as if they didn't know about it before?
Yeah, thank you very much. I want to tell you that by simple sense, it doesn't require any magic or rocket science, that 10 times the cost of budget will have set alarm, even when it doubled. So all government agencies that are involved had reason to be charged for negligence. There must have been preemptiveness. It was an afterthought that the removal came, because it was blamed on products passing through the borders, all these things. There were so many things that were said. But I want to tell us that those in position of authority to control our expenditure, both the PPRA, the Ministry of Finance, Accountant General's Office, CBN, everybody will have asked questions, but nobody did at the point in question. So we all have a blame. all of them have the blame. So now that we spend 10 times the budgeted amount, just of recent, we're saying in the House that anybody, any agency that spent without coming back, without having a recourse to come back to the National Assembly that has the power for appropriation to spend extra budgetarily, is going to become a very serious crime in Nigeria. Because we have been putting in a very big problem. Spending 10 times a budgeted amount for a particular program is too much.
Don't you think that is probably because they were all benefiting from that over budgeted amount, one way or another?
People might have benefits, but they don't know the consequence of the benefits. But the people who are taking decisions, we're talking of the person whose duty is to alert or to flag. As I had at a point of time, the CBN governor shouted. Do you understand? But she wasn't. We needed facts and figures, like what happened with the probe. National Assembly, when the problem cropped up at the beginning of the year due to the increase in fuel price, we decided to look into it. And the other committee did fantastically well. And if you go through the recommendations, as you have seen, we're not saying that we are final arbiter, but we're speaking like the Nigerian people we are representing. Because National Assembly is representative of every Nigerian. We have said that this is not acceptable. And people must be punished for that. Recommendations are very clear. 10 times the budgeted amount is unimaginable. So there is no excuse. It's not about wish hunting, but it's about being realistic. Let us critically look at it.
All right, Honorable, you've spoken quite insightfully. Now, since April 19th, since the report was laid down, and of course we looked at the 205 pages of the report that the ad hoc committee brought forward. Now, you know, we've been talking about fuel, even kerosene to some extent. It's hiding underneath all of this because we haven't even gone there. There's supposed to be 210.4 trillion naira worth of kerosene subsidy, which was given against presidential directive. Now, let's not look at that. Let's look at the responsibility of relegation. Now, we talk about this auditing sense. Of course, we've spoken that there cannot be smoke without fire. So you should actually be pointing fingers at the Ministry of Finance. Now, let's look at the issue of responsibility for relegation. These firms are supposed to be assessed, supposed to be relegated, supposed to be visited, and it's not just by facts and figures. We look at the cases of the companies that were in boxes, and you look at all of that, and you begin to wonder the level of corruption. And some people say we are now blowing whistle when it's almost too late, or rather too late. Now, my question exactly is, why wasn't there a body? You know, why now we have an ad hoc committees when we could have actually institutionalized bodies to be able to assess, relegate, and actually do the findings on these so-called auditing firms as against now that we're doing it?
Is it by National Assembly?
Yes.
It is like saying that we want us to do the executive work. Mr. President engaged the ministers who are running the executive. It is their duty to run the establishment they are doing, or the agency, the MDAs. They track policies. They are even allowed, outside the constitution that they have, or the act that is being established by the National Assembly, the agencies in question are to draw up their policies of achieving their goals. You are telling me that PPRA that has been established, that's supposed to have terms of reference to engage somebody who is going to be, who is going to deliver products for the country. You bring somebody that is not registered in CAC. You bring somebody that that does not have office in Nigeria, who has not paid tax. If you see, what I think of due process. Due process office, is it managed by National Assembly? Oh, if the president needs an office, he comes, we enact, an act that will help him to do his work well. The money has been given to those bodies that will do their work. What you're saying now, that National Assembly should have gone to run the economy.
No, my frame of thought exactly is that some of this red alert signs must have come noticeable by the National Assembly on the due process. And when these things were found, and when these things were it's questionable, it's enough for them to cry wolf and say, okay, even if we are not in charge of this due process, these things are not working well, especially against the mandate which they have been chosen, which is to overrun that part of government.
Sure.
So that is exactly, of course, to many Nigerians there that, you know, some people don't even know the role of the National Assembly, supposed to say.
That is it.
You understand? So for them, they feel like every new every crime offense falls at the table. So in your own words exactly, what should actually be the due process for the benefit of those who are watching at home?
Thank you very much. The due process is straightforward. For us in National Assembly, we simply do oversight. Because we have 3 key jobs: to legislate, to represent, and to oversight. In oversighting agencies that were established by Act of the National Assembly, it is not that you are to run, because if you look at the mandates as enshrined in the acts that established the agencies, the executive and the boss or whoever that is, it is their duty to run the establishment day to day. And it's not our duty to come every now and then too. But once in a while, we call for information and go. Also based on information from people within the system, petition the National Assembly to go that there's a problem here. It is in the interest. We have Nigerians working there. Why didn't they not petition National Assembly early enough? What things are going on? If you go to Phillips and see fuel, you buy fuel, if you see that everything is working out, but the day-to-day running of those establishments is not in the National Assembly. So what happened is that when people started complaining, we decided to look into what is happening there. And that is, we question like every other Nigerian, because we represent the Nigerians. We ask questions. Those who are entrusted with such responsibilities, what have they done?
All right. Okay. So I'm going to come back to you. You are a chartered accountant. Maybe you can shed more light on this. You know, part of the things that came out during the probe is the fact that many companies were said to have gotten certification even before the date they claimed that fuel imports came into Nigeria. Now, isn't this also another problem? Plus, you know, auditing firms be held liable, you know, for the importation of fuel, you know, even before, you know, these unregistered companies were said to have taken off in trying to locate what quantity of fuel, you know, was in distribution at the time. What should the role of the auditing firms have been at this point when there were companies who were not registered before they started work?
Yeah, thank you so much. If you use the word auditing firm, I hope you are referring to the firm, not the job they were appointed to do. They were not appointed to do auditing work. They were appointed to act as consultants. That's what I
okay, maybe we should clarify what's the work of a consultant, or what's the limit of a consultant when an auditing firm is hired as a consultant, and the difference between being hired as an auditor.
Fine. If you're hired as an auditor, you have a responsibility under the Companies Act, and your job has been clearly specified, and in that case, you will be held liable for any act of negligence, because we are issuing opinion.
Okay.
But in the case of consultancy, your job is defined by your terms of engagement. You cannot go outside their terms of engagement. Take for instance, if they were engaged to verify the payments only, verify payments only. In other words, documents will be given to them. Verify that this calculation, the arithmetic is correct. Verify that you are paying to a bona fide supplier. They cannot go outside that, because that's what their terms of engagement has specified. In that case, you can only be held liable if they are found negligent on what they were appointed to do.
Okay. Okay,
so that's
in this situation now, the auditing firms cannot be held responsible for, you know, for having unregistered companies who imported fuel into the country and not being able to say when and how much fuel they imported. The auditing firms cannot be held liable if they were under contract for that.
Yes, if
they were under,
if their terms of engagement had given them the opportunity to verify the authenticity of the suppliers, right? Then they will be held liable. Otherwise, if they were engaged, look, Mr. A is a supplier, verify what he has supplied. If it is not his duty to go and verify whether he is a registered company or not, after all, PPPRA is there.
Okay,
but are giving them the names of the people that supply petrol.
But one thing is the fact that they were engaged to certify claims of marketers. What does that mean?
Fine. If they were engaged to certify claims of marketers, in other words, company ABC says I supplied 20 metric tons of PMS, right? The duty of the consultant is to ensure that, one, that the PMS have been duly supplied, that documentations for the supply are adequate, and thirdly, that in that case, they have a responsibility to verify that Mr. A had been duly appointed to supply PMS.
Okay, so in a situation where Mr. A, who is unregistered in the first place, did not supply or cannot say clearly when it has imported fuel, into the country, who is responsible?
Then the consultant has a responsibility to point it out. They have that responsibility. And don't forget, it is possible that they were not giving all the names of the contractors. Probably they may have given them the major suppliers. I'm not too sure anyway. But if company A, ABCD has been asked to supply PMS, and the auditor or the consultant have been engaged to certify that what he claims he has supplied is what he has supplied.
Well, isn't that supposed to be part of the job? If you employ me, you know, to engage claims of marketers, I want to know all of the marketers I'm supposed to be dealing with. Am I not supposed to have a preview to that information? Every single marketer that I'm supposed to deal with, I'm supposed to know. And what are the terms of engagement of these marketers? And so if this marketer's fault, shouldn't that fall on the table of the auditors?
That, like I explained earlier, everything is dependent on the terms of engagement. If their terms of engagement have given them that opportunity to do all this verification, in that case they'll be held responsible. Otherwise, they'll only be held accountable for the job they were mandated to do. You cannot go beyond that.
All right, Honorable Chris, I have an email for you categorically, and it's from Julius Akabo. It says, I want to understand you, sir, as you have categorically stated that the National Assembly will not have an insight to the runnings of the government till it is tabled. So please, sir, I remember One Nigeria. What you're trying to say is that is there no collaboration of efforts via the National Assembly to the ministries? Julius. So I think, yes, he's trying. I think what he's trying to ask is, you know, does the National Assembly have to wait till the due process has gone through and, you know, until they find out that something is wrong before they actually start dealing with cases? Shouldn't it be proactive for them to be actually on top of their game, trying to engage these people? And this is from a fellow citizen.
Thank you very much,
Julius.
Citizen Nigeria, Julius. I'm happy about your email. Your question is very clear. Shouldn't there be interworkings between the National Assembly and the ministry for day-to-day running of the affairs of the nation? I say categorically no. We have our own job. We have more than enough to do. The Act established, just like if you are running your business in AIT, it's not the duty of National Assembly to come or judiciary to come. National Assembly is oversighting. We have committees that oversight the affairs, but not that we are to run the ministry with them day in, day out. But there are so many committees. There are ones that are post-mortem, like the Public Accounts Committee. Okay. Do you understand? Once in a while, things come, but annually, they put up their report to Public Account. We'll go through it to ensure that what they've been mandated to do by the law is being done. It is purely post-mortem. If there's any whistleblowing, we are expecting people who are working there or Nigerian people whom we are representing, because we are only 360 people. We can't leave everything we are doing to be chasing people who are doing their normal work, leaving our own work as legislators. Okay. There's more than enough for us to do.
Okay. All right, I'm going to come back to you, sir. Now, Professor Francis Ojaide is the president of ICANN. Now, in this kind of situations, even though, sir, maybe I should ask you first. According to Professor Ojaide, no complaint or petition has gotten to ICANN even as we speak. But ICANN has taken a proactive measure, you know, in investigating this matter and saying if the auditing firms, you know, have erred, where they have erred, and find how they will be disciplined if that is the situation. Now, shouldn't there be a report already to ICANN as a professional body that is regulating activities of auditing and accounting firms in Nigeria?
Yeah. If you look clearly at the recommendation adopted last Wednesday by the House of Representatives, it is not proper for you to put the cart before the horse. It has been adopted. All agencies of government that needs to be properly informed, or all bodies, do you understand? Whether it's an NGO or non-governmental that needs to be informed based on this. EFCC, ICPC, even the presidency. The recommendations will get to them. You will overheard the chairman of the committee or the Speaker of the House say that at the adoption of the recommendations, there will be proper communication. Today is just Wednesday, a week after.
Okay.
So if, because of the popularity, the exposure given to the entire program, that's why everybody is saying. But at the right time, everybody that needs to be informed by by House of Representatives or National Assembly will be informed duly on what they need to do. If you look closer to the recommendation, there are some people that were asked to come back because they were not given fair hearing, so that we do not offend anybody by not hearing the person out. Secondly, there are people that we are told that further bodies will investigate their claims. Maybe they didn't provide enough information
and enough time.
Do you understand? We are not saying the National Assembly is will be an umpire, will be the player, will do everything. We are not judiciary too. We are not. There are some things, but we have recommended based on investigation, for further investigation, to agencies like EFCC, other corrupt agencies, to go and look deep before final indictment will come. But people who did not, there are people that they will give, straight mandates from the law to do what they needed to do, and they did not do it. That's like the one they said NNPC should refund. It's outright because NNPC is supposed to have done what they need. If they have a counter claim, they should put it up.
All right. I'm going to come back to you, sir. We'll talk about professional bodies. We'll talk about decorating professional accountants with one fellowship or another, being members of one professional body after the other. We're wondering now, these professional bodies, what really are their roles? Are they just, because a lot of times when they don't have fellowship from, like ICANN for instance, they don't come highly recommended. Now because they are fellows of some of these professional bodies, they come highly recommended to government, or because they're members of these, they're members of AN and all of that, they come highly recommended. Now when this kind of situation happens, what should be the role of these same professional bodies? Is it just to award fellowship to chartered accountants, or even maybe even lawyers who are SANs and all of that? What should be their role?
Yeah, thank you. The role of the professional body is not to award a fellowship, but they have a responsibility to recognize deserving members, those who have served diligently with a fellowship award, or if you like, SAN in the case of lawyers. And I can, to the best of my knowledge, the institute I belong, they are quite meticulous. They are quite, they attach great importance to competence, professionalism in whatever you do, as a member or as a firm. Firm, I mean the auditing firm.
Okay.
In this present circumstance, the two firms involved, ICANN, like you rightly pointed, the president has already taken preemptive action to investigate. But don't forget, like I said earlier, they were not appointed to do. They were not appointed as auditors. They were appointed as consultants. ICANN has a disciplinary committee. If you are found negligent, if you are found to have colluded in carrying out your duty, they have a way of sanctioning members, including firms that have erred. So I have the greatest confidence that if the two firms involved, based on their terms of engagement, if they have been found negligent, ICANN will take disciplinary action. But everything is still dependent on their terms of engagement.
Okay. But how does, I mean, after the award, how does ICANN, ascertain that these awardees and people who have gotten these awards remain ethically responsible?
Before you are giving, like, let me talk about the one I know. Before you are giving a fellowship of ICANN, you must have served for a minimum of 10 years as an associate member. Sure. Right? It is expected that within this period you would have garnered sufficient experience and you have imbibed the ethical culture ICANN has inculcated in the members. So it is expected that within this period, whatever service you render, you will bear that in mind, anywhere you are.
Okay.
So, but as to ICANN, like he said, like my colleague here said, they are just a body. They are not fully members.
Up and down.
Yes, to know what they're doing. But if there is any reported case of professional negligence or fraud on any member, ICANN takes disciplinary action. That is if the matter is reported, probably by the employer or whatever.
Okay.
So aside from that, they cannot be following you to check what you're doing.
What you're doing. Okay, what if in a situation where these two auditing firms are found guilty? Will they be suspended from ICANN? What exactly will be the punishment?
The ICANN rules have specified the punishment to be meted to any member found professional negligent.
Okay, what's that rule?
Pardon?
What is that rule? What does that rule specify?
The ICANN members may be fined, may be suspended for a certain period of time, or whatever. They can be stripped of their certificates if they are found
wanting.
Okay, we look at, I still come to you, so this is the issue of auditors, so I think I just specify the questions to him. Marcel, we look at, EFCC saying they can only take action until they get a harmonized version, of the bill. We look at, what the Honorable has said, that giving fair trial to those companies who, have been accused to come back and maybe with substantive evidence and, of course, statistics to actually make their claims and maybe exonerate themselves or be found guilty. We look at all of that. But let's go back to integrity, professional integrity. What should be the role of those professional regulatory bodies? And so far, so good. In looking at all of the claims and all the accusations, have they truly failed? Have they been found wanting? And of course, have they, like you said, due processes and terms of engagement? What is to be said of those regulatory bodies? Have they done what they're supposed to do, and to what extent?
Regulatory bodies in terms of
of course,
the professional bodies?
Yes, professional bodies. Look at ICANN, we look at the different institutions, and we want to wonder, have they failed so far?
Well, I cannot say that they have failed. No. But don't rule out the fact that corruption has permeated every fabric of our society. You don't rule out that possibility. You don't rule out that fact. So it is possible that members may be doing certain things that are not expected of them. But the professional bodies have a responsibility. If any reported case of a member involved in any act of professional negligence, they have a responsibility to discipline the person. But as a body, I don't think they have failed. They have tried as much as possible to moderate the activities of the members. That I know very well, particularly as it relates to ICANN, I know.
All right. If you want to join us on this discussion, our phone lines are now open. You can reach us on 09-462-5203. That's 09-462-505. I beg your pardon, I'll take that again. 09-462-5203. 09-462-503. Now.
And I think you can also send us email at kaakaki@aitnews.com.ng. Please keep it floating.
The phone lines will be on the screen soon too. All right, sir. Now, the Act of Parliament of ICANN 15 of 1965, says that a tribunal will be set up to look at issues such as this. We already asked what kind of punishment will be meted out to these bodies, and you've also said that ICANN cannot pursue these people up and down and check on what they are doing. But situations like this, does it not bring question to the minds of people? Because accounting firms and auditing firms are said to supposedly work with a lot of integrity, because if you're not sure what is happening in any organization, you want to employ the services of an auditing firm to find out if there's fraud, whatever it is that is going wrong, and you have a situation where an auditing firm is being, not just any auditing firm for that matter, two major Nigerian auditing firms being indicted in this kind of report. What does that portend for the industry?
Well, I keep on using the word
terms of engagement.
Right? Like without really mentioning the Kentola Williams, I know is a highly reputed firm. Right? And for them to have been involved in this mess or whatever, it gives me, it does not give me joy actually that a member of our institute is involved in this. Don't forget, the job given to them could have been given to anybody. It could have been given to an engineer, because it's not really an accounting work they are doing. It could have been given to anybody.
Okay, I'll hold you on that frame of thought. We have a caller, Eniola from Abuja calling. Good morning, Eniola. Please, may we have your contributions, please?
Okay, I just wanted to contribute on the issue of the small accounting firms.
All right, go ahead.
That was so invited.
Okay.
I want you to know that they have a contract with with the PPRA or the NFPC to do certain things for them. And if you go through the contract, they probably stayed within the limits of what they were supposed to do. And I also read that they discovered about 1 billion naira overpayment, and they reported it. But in the House Committee report, we didn't see that 1 billion naira recovery. And we are also told that he also wrote certain letters to the PPRA reporting some overpayment in this subsidy scheme. Again, we didn't see the House, coming out with it. It seems that maybe the House was just bantering to public opinion that somebody should be punished, and then they just said, okay, let us punish Adekola and the other audit firm. So I would like, a neutral situation where they can present their case to a body that is not skewed or biased in the favor of one party or the other.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eniola, for that contribution. Honorable, you in these submissions. Go ahead.
Eniola, I want to thank you, but the statements you made about National Assembly being biased is unacceptable. We are standing in to protect the auditing firm where the need arises. We are for every Nigerian. We are neither biased nor opinionated. our decision or the decision of the House was solely based on the facts presented to the committee. You can hear the committee or their recommendations clearly based on information they had. If what was presented or the perceived, they are not. We don't need to indict the House does not need to indict the auditing firm because they didn't do what they needed to do. No. Or because people are saying. What we are saying is very simple. And a consultant engaged to do certain things, if you do not have the necessary skill, because what they said is that they were to ensure that the volumes, the standards used to ensure that the quantity of products delivered got to Nigerian market the same way. If you sign on the paper that 100 litre was delivered, when 20 litre was delivered, you are responsible. Okay. If you say that you're an accountant and it's not in your field too, there are surveyors, there are measuring people, and SOM, there are people who are into standards and measures. You need to have engaged them as a consultant, not as an auditor. They're not indicting them as an auditing firm. As consultants, they need to have secured the services of experts in volumes and measures. I'm an engineer, for instance. We do dimensions in anything we do. People survey sand, deep sea, tell you the volume of sand are there. People stay on top of the soil and go deep into the well and tell you how many volumes of hydrocarbon you can get there.
All right, okay.
There are empiricals to achieve such things. As a consultant, you have engaged them to achieve that.
I think Eniola would have heard that, but I think he was trying to find out and ascertain the facts and the figures presented. And like you said, the facts presented or the figures presented is liable to the person who presents it. All right, cool. We have Chinedu from Port Harcourt calling. Chinedu, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, my sister.
Please, let's have your contribution.
How are you? And please, I thank you for all you guys are saying. Because in everything that is happening in Nigeria, everybody as a citizen is involved. We cannot sit down and be watching those on top, calling themselves executives. And all they do is, at the end of the day, they can't give account of how they've been spending our money. Because as a citizen, we are supposed to know how they are spending our money. I also thank the House of Representative member for giving us his time to get seated there to discuss about it. But see, if you have to face the fact, I think the Minister of Finance, Minister of Petroleum, and all those involved should face this. Not only pointing at the auditors. Who gave auditors the work to do? Are they not the one? They are the ones that give auditors the work. Without them giving the auditors the work, they will not do it. So I think we should face the fact. Let every of them, I even appreciate the House of Representatives handling this. Because if they don't handle it, things will go wrong. So I thank you, my brother, even you that is a member of the ICA. Let us face the fact and tell the nation the truth. The mistake has already been done. Let everything go according to the procedure. I think everything has a procedure in Nigeria. Laws are guiding everybody in this nation. So that at the end of the day, we have legacy to keep for our children. Not every day. Some of all these things are put on record. When they grow up and place it, they say, look at how our people have been handling the country. So I thank you very much for everything, my brother.
All right. Thank you, Chinedu. You were saying, you seemed to agree earlier when our first caller, Eniola, said that the panel or maybe the Ministry of Finance or maybe the Ministry of Oil and Gas is looking for a scapegoat, you know, to use in this probe, in this report that have come out. And they said that maybe, do you agree with that, that maybe Akinola Williams Deloitte or Adekonla, you know, Lushala Adekonla company where are being used as a scapegoat?
You're right. The action that have been taken to terminate appointments of the consultants, I don't think that is sufficient. We are talking of trillions of naira, the taxpayers' money. the money that belongs to you, belongs to me, belongs to generation to come. And yes, we are waiting on the executive arm of government to see what action is going to be taken. Otherwise, the action taken so far is not sufficient, because you cannot put the whole blame on the consultants. Certainly not, because the information we got is that out of the 2.5 billion involved, trillion, sorry, the aspect of it passed to them to verify is only 4%, 125 billion, 4% of that amount, which is not quite significant.
Okay.
So we are talking of trillions of naira. I expected that by now some people would have been apprehended, questions would have been raised on go account for this. Look at the role NFP is played in the whole process. It's really unfortunate that we are where we are today. So I don't think that using the auditing firms or the consultants as a sacrificial lamb is diversionary.
All right, thank you
really
so much. And I think we'll have to cut you there because it's now time, and of course top of the hour, and we want to actually go away, take Pan-African world, or like rightly said, inside Nigeria, so now we'll have it this time against Pan-Africa. Stay with us. This is Kaakaki, the African voice. Please just stay with us.
Thanks for staying with us. This is Pan-African World. The Nigerian government has been asked to design and implement policies which are geared towards job creation, food security and poverty eradication. President of Nigeria Labour Congress, Abdul Wahid Omar, gave the advice at this year's May Day celebration in Abuja. It is the solution, he says it is the solution to insecurity in the country. The power sector can only be reformed if people of honor with clean records are at the helm of affairs. This assertion was made by the Power Holding Company of Nigerian Workers under the National Union of Electricity Employees Tuesday in Abuja as they marked Workers' Day. From the stable of Dar Communications PLC, transmission of radio signal has commenced ahead of the formal commissioning of Raypower and its sister station, AIT Benin, on Saturday. The radio station, which came live early hours of Tuesday, 1st May 2012, at 12 midnight, is the first among the series of stations to be powered by Dar Communications PLC across the country. At the ceremony attended by the chairman of the organization, Dar Communications PLC, Alehu Dokbesi, the managing director, Raypower Paulino Budaga, Kenny Ogungbe of Kenny's Music, and the managing director, Dar Sat Don Pedro Obaseki, among other management staff. The station, Raypower Benin, which has for almost 2 years relayed transmission of signal from Raypower network, will henceforth broadcast programs from Benin on 105.5 FM and is expected to transmit a 24-hour signal. Raypower FM and AIT Benin will be formally commissioned on Saturday, 15 May 2012 at its Ikuniru Broadcast Complex in Benin. What would have been a Black May Day was averted in Bauchi, northeast Nigeria, when a suspected forerunner of the suicide bomber was intercepted at the government house by security operatives. AIT's Tavetiav reports that a middle-aged man who was riding a motorcycle forced himself into the government house compound when the gates were opened for a particular car to drive in. He was immediately arrested and taken to the state police headquarters for interrogation. The police anti-bomb squad, which later examined the motorcycle used by the suspect, said it was not carrying any any explosive. However, sources close to the investigation say the arrested suspect, who made incoherent statements, may have been a forerunner sent to test the level of security at the government house, which only recently put in place new measures to check the movement of all staff and visitors to the state, to the seat of power in the state. The Joint Task Force in Kano State has raided the hideout of the suspected Boko Haram members who were responsible for last Sunday's attack at the Bayero University, Kano. JTF spokesman Ikedi Iweha, who told AIT that the operation, which took place at Sharada area of Kano metropolis on Tuesday morning, lasted for 3 hours, leaving one member of the sect dead and an undisclosed number of suspects arrested. Some improvised explosive devices as well as arms and ammunition were recovered from the hideout. All right, that's the Africa World. Kaakaki B African Voice continues. When we'll come back, we'll continue with our interview segment. Stay with us.
And a doctor. Find out what matters in Clinic Matters.
And I wonder what someone like you is doing in such a noble profession where so much courtesy is required. Can you attend to this woman?
Because the nurse who has the pilot just gone in to prepare to test her temperature. He's not planning to tell his wife until the other lady delivers. He's not heartless. Is this our business if your husband impregnates another woman? The only
voice, and of course we are talking about the fuel subsidy probe, and of course in relation to the other concerns who have been found wanting. We're still in the studio, and we were joined by Marcel Anyelechi, Chartered Accountant, and Honorable Chris Emeka Azubogo, representing Nnewi North, Nnewi South, and Ikwusigo Federal Constituency. You're still very much welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for your insightful remarks. Now, we want to ask the question because we really don't have much time, and I will just go ahead and ask this. I think I'll start with you, Mr. Marcel. Now, there's a tendency to engage contractors, and of course consultants, not to rub off, badly on the government, of course, with job delegations that are meant to be handled by workers who are supposedly supposed to carry out the work appropriately.
Not really. If a government agency engages a consultant to do a specific assignment, that is for a purpose. Possibly because the in-house staff, or they may not have the necessary manpower, or the technical ability to carry out such assignment. In that case, it is very right to engage. And we know in this country that engagement of consultants have really helped to strengthen some of our systems. It does not really rub off on the organization or the staff, no. But it is to add credibility to what you do. The only problem is if you engage a consultant, give him the opportunity to render service to you. You don't limit the scope of his work. Once the scope of his work is limited, it's definitely going to get something different.
But is that against or within the terms of engagement?
Yes, limitation is based on the terms of engagement, because you can only do what is asked to do. You cannot go beyond that.
Okay. I think we've had enough of this terms of engagement for one day. So anyway, but what you're saying, bottom line, is that because we're not sure what the terms of engagement are, it's difficult to nail these auditing firms, for now. Yeah. Okay, until probably the terms of engagement are revealed and made available. Now, let's look at the payments of all of this money that we're talking about. These 99% increase of what is available in the budget. That's 245. 900 increase times 10. That's practically 100% increment, you know, from 245 billion to 2.5 trillion naira. Now that's a lot of money, and definitely these monies were paid through the Central Bank of Nigeria. Shouldn't the central bank too be found wanting for allowing these payments, knowing that this is beyond the budget? This is over and above what is, you know, recommended in the budget.
I do not think. They can only blow whistle. It is not in their duty to regulate how the executive spend money. Who checks the budget? Who controls the budget? These are the questions you ask. Whose duty is it to say that I'm spending more than this? Somebody raised the warrant. There are so many documents that came up. It has a lot of process from Ministry of Finance, from PPRA that endorsed. I mean, the body that is meant to bear the responsibility, Ministry of Petroleum Resources, PPRA, Ministry of Finance, Accountant General's Office, and up till the time document. If document gets to CPO with presidential approval, CBN have no reason not to pay.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is very clear. There are people. We are talking of standards. PPRA has a duty. If you require an expert to ensure that the volumes we are importing, it is your primary duty. You have experts too. Engaging a consultant, they must engage a consultant that has the capacity or the competence to achieve a result for you. It mustn't be a name. You want a name. Unless you want book auditing, not to ensure that the volumes that were delivered, there should be people with competence to ensure that the volume. And also, there should be records, data to showcase what is actual consumption of Nigeria. How much did we, because the budget have told us what we're expecting to consume in a year. Based on information given to us by the industry that had to give the information, the budget was made. Then suddenly, demand, it didn't quadruple. It went 10 times over. So how did we manage to get to that? Was it referred back to the National Assembly?
Okay, we have Bright calling us from Abuja. Bright, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, Bright, are you there?
Yeah, my take is on the first caller, who said the National Assembly seemed to be biased about the whole program. I think that shouldn't be the question. It shouldn't be a question of being biased. It should be the question of the people who have been indicted. Were they involved in some kind of foul play or in some level of compromise in the subsidy saga, the whole saga? I think it's heart bleeding. Let me use that.
Hello, Bright.
Oh, we think I think you've said enough.
Yes, we lost that call, but I don't know if you want to respond to what he said.
Just like you said, it's a straight thing. People have responsibility to do their work. Even we're talking of terms of engagement or terms of reference or whatever. It is you that will specify what you want your consultant to do for you. It is your primary duty.
Okay, what about the consultant? Now, you have situations where, you know, a consultant knows that, okay, what you're asking of me is out of my jurisdiction. You know, now you want me, I am an auditing firm. There's a limit to how far I can go, but if you do not allow me to go as far as I need to go, I won't be able to help you. So shouldn't there be that kind of situation where you can say, no, because of these limitations and these limitations, I can't take this job?
These are where you can say in a system where things are working the way it ought to work.
Okay.
Because there might not be. You go over and ask PPRA, did you advertise this consultancy for people that have competence? You just decided to call in people that you feel that have names already to come. And you offer them what you wanted to offer them because nothing seriously wanted to be done. You wanted nothing serious to be done. To inspect a vessel with 270,000. And they looked at it, they see that business, they write reports for you. Any document that comes around, they sign off and put it together and check figures and give you your pay. And there's another angle to it. They say they did not inspect as consultants the whole cargo for the year. So let us look at the time they were engaged, look at what they've been doing, and also what their contracts is very important. But what I'm saying is that the person that has the job, what have we said about them? People are paid heavily in PPRA to do their work. What did they do?
All right. Honorable, you spoke quite extensively. You know, like some of the callers called and said every arm of government has their role and has their responsibility. And of course, you know, like my colleague here said, and you answered correctly, that the CBN is instructed by the executive. It must be, due processes must have gone through for them to get the final document to release such funding. Now we also question, okay, before this is done, we actually know that Nigeria has a budget, and the executive know they work on the budget. And before they actually go above the budget, you probably are aware of how much above the budget they are going. And so this brings my question, you know, about ethics and conduct, morals, and the issue of corruption and accountability, because one bad egg can corrupt a whole bag of eggs, and even those that are not responsible for the stench gets, you know, affected by it. Now, generally, let's look at the issue in Nigeria, because you said, of course, it depends on how a country is run and how rightly they are run. So I know that in the United Kingdom, one of the Lords of the House of Commons overspent, I was telling you, an allocation for tea by £650, and he was probed. He was brought before the House of Commons, and adequately he was punished for it. But that is 650. We're talking about trillions now. We're talking about billions, and people are poor. You know, so the question of ethics and conduct in Nigeria, how can we readdress it and, of course, reinvent it in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. The silent revolution has started. The People's House, the President House of Representatives have started. You can see now a lot of people are shouting, stop too much proof, stop this. We are silently exposing areas that have been affecting Nigeria based on the problem we're having. A revolution can be by bloodbath, it can be systematic. If everybody and every Nigerian continue to push the way we are, you can see our democracy is evolving. And we have so many challenges in the country. Presently, we're having so much security challenge, we have so many other challenges caused by past corruption in the system. But with the new style coming up, people are becoming more accountable. People are becoming more careful.
Okay. All right.
Do you understand? Yeah. And I would think that with time, it will get to a point whereby people will be charged. Even people who are going to be engaged in offices, their competence will be queried. And we have to look at you critically before you assume any office.
I have to hold you there. My terms of engagement insist that our time is up and we have to round up the interview. Thank you so much for your insightful expressions. Mr. Marcel Anyechi has joined us as a chartered accountant, and we also have Honorable Chris Emeka Azubogo representing Inewi North, Inewi South, and Okwusigo Federal Constituency. You're welcome, and thank you for coming. It's a pleasure having you. This is Kaakaki, the African Voice. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Aniola. Thank you, Chukwu. Thank you, Chinedu, all of you for calling in on Kaakaki this morning, and of course the email. Thank you for your contributions. It was well handled, and I hope that you'll keep it coming in. This is Kaakaki, the African Voice. We'll be right back after this time out. Stay with us.
Business has a secret. Nurses and a doctor. Find out what matters in Clinic Matters.
And I wonder what someone like you is doing with such a noble profession where so much coffee is required. Can you attend to this woman?
Because the nurse who has the pilot just gone in to prepare to test her temperature. Not planning to tell his wife until the other lady delivers. Not heartless. Is this our business if your husband impregnates another woman? The only problem I have is with people making silly and grave mistakes, especially in marriage. You are a nurse and not a marriage counselor.
A jealous man that doesn't like sharing some of my personal effects with anybody.
Women are not regarded as personal effects. Flirting time is over.
Get me your problem.
If my husband comes and say, make I no work, I go quickly fine.
budgeting. Questions such as, do we need an NNPC in the first place, must be asked. In my view, we don't.
He is the field officer. He has the responsibility to ensure all operations regarding arrest and all that is conducted in the usual manner.
Engaging emerging topical issues in the polity.
The mere fact that we pay for 24 million liters of petrol on a daily basis, which is not, is shocking. And I think by now people should be resigning their appointments.
It's supposed to be a business, but it has become another arm of government, and it's also suffering from the malaise that have bedeviled government in Nigeria.
We A very good morning to you. This is Kaakaki B, African Voice, and of course we are over to the newspapers where we're talking about the headline and major headline stories happening. I'm joined in the studio again by Che Million, as I refer to him. Our in-house analyst, Mr. Victor. Thank you for coming this morning.
Thank you very much.
Now, let's go start with leadership newspaper. Our headline stories are making the waves with Our Nation is on Fire, says T.Y. Danjuma, with the riders going on. Nigeria is in a mess. Ango Abdullahi. National unity is being eroded, and Meitama Sule retraces that. We are operating shameless culture, says Kenan Namani. And coming from Tinubu, it's time for action, not lamentation. This is the leadership, and this is interesting because it says reflection at leadership chairman's 50th birthday. So let's look at this.
This is a very, very serious matter, and coming from no less a personality, no less a statesman as T.Y. Danjuma, then we have to take it very, very seriously.
And what really interests me is the last statement. It says it's time for action and not lamentation. Somebody will say chapter 4, verse 6. It's interesting. But a lot of people have said talk is cheap, and it's about time we start working the work.
Well, the people in charge will tell you that they are already taking action. It is the result of their actions that people are tired of waiting for. You know, because things look like they are getting worse.
Indeed.
By the day.
All right, we look just below that major story and below the masthead. It says our report on oil revenue will soon be ready, says Ribado on page 6. That some people is very good news.
That is one area where the stench in the country comes from very, very strongly. And it is about time we knew what were going on before now in that sector.
JTF raised another Boko Haram hideout in Kano, which is coming up at page 544. If you want to read that, please get your local newspaper from the newspaper vendor. We'll go to Daily Trust. Nigeria becoming a Somalia. This is still T.Y. Danjuma.
God forbid. I say it 3 times. Somalia is no country to think about and to say you want to be like. We are bad. The situation is bad. But we pray God that we don't descend to a Somalia.
Well, he calls it Somalization of Nigeria, taken right, and I retrace your statement and say God forbid. And of course, we have also below that another interesting headline story. Dati Hassan Tuko sabotage talks with Boko Haram, and wow, that was a man at the center of the aborted negotiations with Boko Haram.
That's a big, if it is true, it's a big disservice to this country.
Well,
to sabotage talks that would have led to peace.
Indeed, that is if it is true. Well, if you want to wonder, don't wonder. Page 5, Daily Trust tells you all the stories, and you can pick it up from your local newspaper vendor. Nigeria Tribune, talking about Boko Haram now, and saying Nigeria is on fire, still talking about General T.Y. Danjumah's statement in Daily Trust and, of course, in Leadership. And it says, cautions against Somalization of Nigeria, which is the first rider. Second says, as Boko Haram threatens to bomb more media houses, soldiers raid sects and hideout, kill one, arrest wives, children recover ammunition, and bomb scare in Abuja. Now, it's interesting. Soldiers raid sects, hideout, kill one, and arrest wives, children. And I wonder how this takes, its course on finding out.
What really interests us is the threat to media houses by our brothers. They are still our brothers, the Boko Haram people, even though they are killing their own brothers. And it is the media they are talking about, or that they are attacking, that vents their anger. The same media that they are attacking is the same source of venting their anger. And
the same source that can actually offer resolution.
Exactly. If the good Lord will touch their hearts and let the media be, let our colleagues in the print be.
Well, interesting. It says let them be, and because they will be the only one that will speak with one voice against a voiceless voice. Well, we pray that it doesn't come to that. But however, we go straight into People's Daily. Nigeria is close to break up once T.Y. Danjumah, and this is a different story line. Well, the same major story, but from a different point of view. Saying the break up is what the People's Daily has called it. A Somalization is what Nigeria Tribune has called it. Fire is what Daily Trust has called it. So let's look at People's Daily's choice of language. A breakup, Nigeria is close to a breakup once. What is your take on the style?
Yes, that is the question of style, the question of looking at the story. Each medium now is digging into the meat of the story. This is part of the meat, not just the crusade kind of thing. People are digging into particular areas that editorially suits them. Again, I say 3 times, God forbid, to...
And he actually buttresses the point of the highly volatile security situation in Nigeria. Because the writer goes on to say, says Borno, Jigawa, Kano are failed states already, which is very sad coming from a leader such as T.Y. Danjumah.
Yes, coming from him, he knows what he's saying, and we can see it.
All right, interesting. I'll bring your mind to this, Victor. Just above this master, above the headline, so we see a major statement saying the Guardian, Daily Trust, The Nation, Leadership, others on Boko Haram's hit list is what is making its way to the People's Daily this morning. And of course, it's calling. It was what was named yesterday, and more print and electronic media houses and staff on its latest hit list.
These are innocent professionals doing their honest to God job. Let them be. Once again, this is the first time I'm coming on since this day, Moment, Tribune, and The Sun. My heart goes out to them. We commiserate with them. It's a good thing that Nigerians, as one, were behind the media this time, and asking the media to continue to do its job, because it's the fourth estate of the realm, and it's a very vital role that the media is playing. And it's a good thing that they have the backing of the country.
Definitely. To do that and we look at the sunset picture of improvised explosive devices recovered by the JTF during a raid on suspected Boko Haram members hideout yesterday in Kano. And interestingly, we have a Cameroonian woman with her children and a household arrested yesterday also in Kano. Of course, the alleged mastermind of the BUK attacks killed by police. Now, some will wonder the household that has been arrested is against the real culprits and what they have to do with it, and against the question that it's really Nigerians, that this is not a non-Nigerian war.
Well, it has been on. The people have always been worried that non-Nigerians, West African brothers and sisters in this case, have had a hand in what is happening in Nigeria, which is unfortunate, because it will make the country begin not only to take care of its borders, but to begin to look on neighboring
about
exactly not treating them.
I hope
like
it doesn't come to that, and that will truly be a Somalia, and I hope not. Let's go to Blueprint. Blueprint is talking about Nigeria is on fire, still coming from T.Y. Danjuma as the major stories this morning, and above that master we have the major story: NLC threatens strike over minimum wage, fuel price hike. Interesting. Now we have the UK Muslim Forum condoles with blast victims on page 5, and PDP can't fix nation's problems, saying Tinubu. Now, interestingly, yesterday was Workers' Day, and we had a matrimonial speech made by the representatives, and this is what came out of it.
Given what workers are seeing, given the quantum of wealth that this country has, and the way it is being frittered away, I think workers have a right to ask at least for minimum wage and to be paid that minimum wage as that when due. That is the least workers of this country under the umbrella of the NLC and TUC can ask for.
All right, we have Kaduna bombing suspect moves to Abuja as underneath below the major story, and of course that insert feature of the President Nigerian Labour Congress, Comrade Abdul Wahid Omaru, and of course Labour Minister Mekanwogo and the rest of the crew. We have JTF storms Boko Haram hideout, K1, which is what we've looked at it in People's Daily in that red insert box. Now let's go to this day of tragedy. What a tragedy! Major story: JTF raids a bomb factory, kills BUK terror suspect, and that is for some good news. Rider saying Boko Haram threatens more media houses, releases live video on this day attacks. That is
They took time to do that. God,
that is
the main business.
Yeah,